And, I mean, he's got work to do. We're just trying to talk here. But we're talking about J.W. Walsh. Of course, I think everybody knows by now that J.W. is back here in Oklahoma State as a quality control, in a quality control role, I should say, in football. And first of all, before we get going into any of the discussion, good to have you and welcome back home.
It's good to be back. I'm excited to be home, and it's been a lot of fun so far. So it's good to be here.
And sounding today has been busy, I would imagine. I mean, golly, they expect you to actually do something when you have to be on the air. I don't understand that at all. What's the matter with Dunn and Rite and those guys? I mean, golly. No, we appreciate you jumping in here. I guess you could tell us meetings, a little workout today. Is that what you've done?
Yeah, just I think we had some meetings with the guys, and then just had workouts with them, and just trying to get them back from Christmas break or winter break, I guess, and get them back into shape and get ready for some spring football.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll have a normal spring and not like we've had to undergo in this past year. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit now. Let's start the journey back to Stillwater. Obviously, when you were here for a good 4 years, and it seems like a long time ago, 2015, when you left. But long story short, you ended up at TCU as a GA and kind of started your coaching career. How did that work?
It's just towards the end of my senior year, Coach Meacham called me from TCU and asked me what my plans were, which he had kind of known from his time here when we were together. He knew I wanted to coach, so he asked if there was an opportunity, if I was interested there. And for me at that time, it was a no-brainer because they were having a lot of success, and I knew Meacham, and I knew Coach Cumbie as well, and then just to have the opportunity to work under Patterson. So that was an easy decision for me.
Were your eyes open to what top-level coaching is all about? I mean, obviously TCU in a Power 5 conference, even though you played in one, playing and coaching are two different things. Were your eyes open a little bit?
Yes. I knew sort of what to expect being a coach's kid and kind of growing up around the game, but, like, going from being a player to a coach, it's a completely different world. And, it was definitely eye-opening to get into that role, and just to see, exactly how much work really goes into it. But I think as a player, you really don't have a clue.
And it was a great foundation for you, because I know when we're coming up on a great part of your life was the time that you just spent at Abilene Christian. And you probably learned what coaching is really all about from top to bottom there, didn't you?
Yes.
You're looking at recruiting, coaching, dealing with players, dealing with off-season stuff. I mean, all the stuff that goes into coaching. Even though it's not a Power 5 school, you're still doing the same stuff every day.
Yes, sir. It's the same job, it's the same game. And so not much is really changing from your day-to-day, from your game planning, from your preparation. It's all, a lot of it's the same. And then when you get into recruiting, again, it's the same. It's the same world, and usually the people who are working the hardest and trying to be the most creative in the FCS world, they're going to get the best recruits. And it's the same thing at this level. So the FCS and FBS world, it's all very similar to each other. It was a lot of fun to be able to get to ACU and be a part of that, and get to learn how to play like that. The staff that I had, it was good.
You were telling me on the TV side that it was a younger staff, right? And you were one of the young ones on there, and that probably made going to work a little easier because you're all virtually the same age, and you had the same energy level for sure.
Yes, sir. Our that staff was, I guess. The head coach was early 40s. Our coordinators were early 30s, and then the rest of us were mid to late 20s. Mm-hmm. So we were, like you said, we were all very similar in age, and it made it very easy to just to kind of get along with everybody. We all had the same amount of energy, and it really helped with the kids because they really bought into what we were trying to sell and what we were trying to accomplish as a program, just because the staff got along so well. And so it was a fun staff. I think in the summer and off season when we weren't doing spring football, we played staff basketball like 3 times a week. pretty much the whole staff did. So we were young and active, and it was fun. It was a fun staff and fun place to be.
I would think the same would have been true at TCU, and certainly we talk about Abilene Christian, and it would have been at Texas. You were barely older than a lot of the guys you were coaching. Did that ever come into play, or did right away you command the respect and then you get on down the road?
The age never. I don't think the age really has ever played into any, or has ever been a factor anywhere I've been. All 3 places, the players had enough respect for me, and I was giving the players the same respect. So, I don't think the age has ever really been too much of an issue. It actually has kind of helped, in my opinion, just being able to relate to those guys. And, I'm still not that far removed from being a player. So, I understand kind of what they're going through from their day-to-day, from what they have to do, off the field as far as academically and just kind of all the pressure that they're feeling. So, I feel like my age kind of helps in that regard.
Yeah, I could see where that would be a positive, quite frankly, the relating factor to the kids that you're coaching. What about when you were actually out there on the recruiting trail? Did that work in your favor as well?
Yes, it's the same thing. I feel like I'm closer to their age, and I relate to those guys more than I would if I was, older, just because it wasn't that long ago when I was them. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like when you're young, the younger you are, as long as you understand how much work it takes and your maturity level is where it needs to be, I think younger really helps you, especially in the recruiting field, just because nowadays there's just so much that goes into recruiting that as far as social media and how that's grown, the younger you are, the more suited you probably are for it. So it definitely helps.
Of course, recruiting right now, because of the pandemic, is much different than it was, although social media is certainly there, and that's the only contact. But I want to go back to your time there at Abilene Christian. As competitive as you were here, and still are, I might add, what about, you didn't get every recruit, right? How did you react when you didn't get one?
If we didn't get a recruit we were going after, I never thought twice about it, because I want to go to war with the guys that want to be here. Mm-hmm. And if somebody doesn't want to be here, then that's good with me, because I don't want him to come, even though I don't want him to be here if he doesn't really want to be a part of it. So instead of thinking about the guys you didn't get, it's celebrate the guys that want to be here and make sure those guys, when they get here, make sure they understand the standard and what's expected of them. So it's more about the guys that you do get and do want to be a part of it than it is about the guys who didn't want to be a part of it.
I got to think that's true whether you're 28, 38, or 48. You're out there recruiting, sir. I would think, right?
Yes, sir.
Take me to Texas now, and Yurcich obviously played a big role, and you going down to Texas. It was a short stay, obviously, but at the same time, another spot where you could learn and kind of create your own resume.
Yes, it was a good place to learn and really just another opportunity to be around a bunch of great coaches in a great program to be in a great program. And so when I'm looking back on all the past years since playing, or just the years of being a coach so far, I just felt very fortunate and lucky to have been around the coaches and programs that I have, because there's been a lot to learn, and a lot of great coaches, a lot to take from those coaches.
Were you surprised or not when Yursich called and said, "Hey, would you be interested in coming down?"
I was surprised a little bit. Just it was a little unexpected, because he asked me to come down with him a little bit after he had gotten hired. So I'd never really even thought about it. But at the time, I really never thought about leaving Abilene until then. So I'd say I was surprised, just because I never really thought leaving.
You know, you had made mention, I asked you on the TV side, I mean, the guys in that Texas office, you had to be surprised, were you not, when that came down, that all of a sudden Herman and his staff were not going to be retained?
Yeah, that one kind of caught us all by surprise. When we heard about it, we were caught off guard. That's for sure. It was definitely an interesting time.
Another phone call to you, and this one comes from Stillwater, Oklahoma. Shortly thereafter, I assume it was Dunn who called you and asked whether you'd be interested. And I got to know, because I've said this 100 times since you've been gone, and I think we've done about half a dozen interviews probably during that time. And every one of them you've ended by saying, my goal is to come back to Oklahoma State. What did you think when you got the phone call from Stillwater?
I was just excited, and could not wait to get back here. It's been good to be able to go to different places and learn from different coaches and see the way different programs are run. But ultimately, this is the place where I wanted to get back to. So getting that call was just really excited, and I was really couldn't wait to get back. So
I would imagine, what did it take you, about 1 second to say yes, I'm on the way, or what?
Oh yeah, it didn't take long. It never, there was never really much thought to go into it. I did what I wanted since I left. So, you know,
people set goals, no question, and a lot of times we reach them, sometimes we don't, and it has nothing to do with the individual. Sometimes it's just about timing. But in a general sense, I mean, your time away from here has not been that long. And
no.
And coming back here in the space of the time that you were gone, I mean, it may not be the dream right off the top, but it's close to being the dream come true, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's I guess, like you said, and it hadn't been that long since I've left, and it hadn't been that long since I've been a player. So to be back in the role that I am and have the experience that I've had, and just I don't think I could ask for anything better at this point in my career. I've been very fortunate and lucky to have had those opportunities, and then to be able to get back here as quickly as I was able to I'm just really lucky and happy to be here.
I assume now there'll be lots of duties, and you probably find out more duties every day now that you've been here. But at the same time, I'm guessing you'll be working with Rattay, you'll be working with quarterbacks primarily. Is that a safe assumption?
Yes, sir. I'll be with. Yes, sir. That's the main role.
Which is right up your alley. And again, I'm going to touch on a few things we covered on the TV side, but I think they're important here to bring up again. If there's anybody who knows what it's like to go through the recruiting hype and be the expectation bar being placed so high, it is J.W. Walsh. And you're dealing with a guy in Spencer Sanders, ironically from the same hometown, who had all kinds of expectations when he got here. I don't know, have you had conversations with him yet? But you can certainly relate to what he's going through.
Yes, it's I can, and again, that's part of my age of not being too far removed from being a player, and I can remember experiencing some of those things and trying to navigate all that, having all the pressure thrown onto you, and still having success in school, and still being able to lead your team, and still work hard in the weight room, and still there's so many different things and so many different factors, and to come in with the expectations that Spencer has come in with is it can be tough. But at the same time, when you're a quarterback, you understand that that's part of the job, and when you say you want to play quarterback, you're accepting that responsibility, and I think he understands that and knows that. It's based on I don't think I had to even be here to know that. I can see from the TV that he's got command of the offense, and he's a leader, and the guys follow him. I think that Spencer, from what I've seen, he's done a really good job of kind of managing it. But I definitely can help in any way that he needs for that, just because it hadn't been that long since I had to go through it. But I'm excited to be around him and all the guys, because now that I've been here for a couple weeks and limited time around them, there's a bunch of different personalities in the room. It seems like a really great room, and so I'm excited for it.
I don't want to leave anybody out, but I mean, you got Illingworth in there. Gundy's kid, I guess, is in there now, and I may be leaving somebody else out. But the fact is, you're dealing with different types of quarterbacks, styles, and what have you, but yet the same expectation bar, as you said, when you're a quarterback on a major college level. You're expected to do a lot of things, whether you like it or not. That goes with the job.
Correct, because it's the same. Like when I was playing, there was I was a different kind of quarterback than Clint, and Clint was a different kind of quarterback than Mason, and Mason's a different kind of quarterback than Dax, and Dax is different than West Line. Like, we were all different, and I think that it's the same in this room now. But you can tell that they all have the same goal in mind, and I think that that's that was one thing that I thought was always done well in the past when I was here, and it's the same thing with these guys. They're helping each other. It's always one guy can play, so it's always a competition. But you still want to help each other, because at the end of the day, it's about the team, and the two things that make a team better. One, you have to have that competition within each other to push each other and make each other better, and you also got to be able to balance. You got to help each other and be there when if it's not your turn to be the guy to play. Well, he still needs you on the sideline. He still needs your eyes. He still needs to know maybe he's seeing something different than you, and I think that's a really important dynamic in that room.
What is the delicate balance there, though, J-Dub? I mean, as competitive as you are and have been and still are, you hit it on the head. I mean, you want to be the guy out there, right? So you're not sitting there hoping that the guy ahead of you or the guy beside you is not having a good day. But the reality is only one of you is going to be out there. So how do you balance that competition between one another and still pull on the same end of the rope?
I don't know if I have a great answer for you. Other than I feel like that's how I've always lived my life. I mean, I've been around the game since I was born, and being able to be around it and be around that kind of competition, that everything I've done is a competition. And I think that's a lot of the guys are the same way. And the biggest thing, I think, is if the team comes first in the quarterback room, if the team comes first, that's probably the best way to balance it, because we're all going to be competitive. You can't turn that off. If you're not competitive, that shows. But if you're competitive, no matter what, you're going to try to be the guy out there. Mm-hmm. It's putting the team first is, I think, what helps balance it. Because when you put the team first, you understand that, hey, I may not be the best guy to be on the field right now, and that's okay, as long as I did everything I could to make myself as good as I can be, if this guy was just a little bit better this day, all right, we'll go to work the next day and we'll push each other again. But it's about, you just can't be selfish, and you've got to put the team first.
You know, you told me you kind of get you get a dose of reality as soon as you get on campus, no matter how celebrated you are as a high schooler. When you first get on campus, and you were saying there was a guy named Whedon who was in that room when you first walked in. That kind of put you, that kind of put things in perspective for you right off the bat, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it's I used to, when I was in high school. When I was in high school, coming to college, I used to think I had a strong arm, and I could make the throws, and I was a great athlete. And we go to our first workout or 7-on-7, and Whedon goes to throw a ball. It's the first time I saw it live in person that close, and Whedon goes to throw it, and instantly I knew that guy is for real, and it puts it into perspective for me, knowing, hey, I'm not there yet. Like I'm nobody compared to that. That guy's put in the work. That guy's done it, and you see it across every position. And that's, like you said, you kind of get put into your place a little when you're a freshman coming up into college. Very, very, very rarely do you see freshmen that just come in and just blow you away and can do those things. So,
along that same line, you can impart what you just told me and told the listeners. You can impart that to not only the group in that room right now, if asked, or if you want to offer it, but to anybody who comes in the future. That, and through no fault of high school kids, in my mind, of their own, they're brought in with expectations that are placed upon them by recruiting services, internet thing, and through no fault of their own, they're made into something they're really not by the time they get here. That has to be something you can kind of put in perspective for anybody who comes in from here on out.
No doubt. It's not the high school kids' fault. It's I don't know if it's really anybody's fault that's gotten that way. It's just the way the recruiting's turned with social media, and you can't blame kids for being that, for being that and feeling that way. But that's the way it is. When you get to college from high school, it definitely gets you definitely see a different perspective.
I suspect your dad kept your head in a good frame of mind, I would think. Being a coach, as successful a coach as he was, I don't think you kind of got too big a head when you were playing down there.
Yeah, my dad was obviously probably the biggest influence in my life, and he definitely made sure of that. He did a great job of making me see what was important and what wasn't, and that, and understanding the importance of who the people you put yourself around.
Mm-hmm.
I've always said you're a product of your environment, and your friends and the people you're surrounding yourself with. If they're not on the same page as you, they don't have to necessarily be teammates or people in the same position. Like they just have to be on the same page with you and understanding that what's the most important thing, and then that's your team, and if you're surrounding yourself with guys that understand that, then you should stay pretty level-headed, because when you get that inflated ego, it's never about the team, and so putting yourself around guys that are all team guys, and that's a huge deal. You can build each other up for sure, but it's always about the team. And I was fortunate to have great teammates and great friends that all understood that, and it probably had something to do with my dad making that a big part of his program. So,
as you get older, and you're certainly not old by any means, you're older than you were when you're here, but we can extol all the virtues. I mean, I got them right here. I mean, you went to 4 bowls. I mean, you ran up tremendous yards running it, passing it. You had a couple of injuries, but nonetheless, you were very durable during your stay here. I have to wonder how. Now, maybe Sanders does. I may be putting words in his mouth. How many guys in that room remember the name Walsh and what you did here, other than maybe Gundy's kid, because he probably was aware of you then, probably.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure like Spencer knew my name because we had met before. We're both from Denton. Mm-hmm. And Gundy, just because he was around when I was here. And then Peyton Thompson was, we were recruiting him at ACU, so
okay.
I knew Peyton from there. Mm-hmm. The only two guys that I hadn't met before were Ethan and Shane. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they knew who I was before or not. But they've been awesome so far. So.
What's been your, I don't know, active role? I mean, in meetings, do you have some say so? Does Rattay let you talk? Done?
I'm not. In our position meetings, I'm not allowed to talk.
Okay. Well, I
can talk. I can't run a meeting. I can't coach.
I got you.
Goes under the quality control. I have to. I can sit in on the meetings, but I cannot coach any football.
No, if asked, I guess you could answer a question. I guess by a coach, right? Dunn could ask you a question. Rattay could ask you a question, I guess, and you could give an answer. But yeah, I understand you can't be coaching the players. That's for sure. But I wonder, in your just running into the hallway kind of relationship with these guys, where you have little off time talk, don't you? That you know they know who you are and they probably respect what you say.
They've been very respectful.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Good.
They've been very respectful, and I think that they've all got pretty good personalities, and so they've been just running, like you said, running into the hallways and just kind of seeing each other and just hanging out. They've all got great personalities, and they're fun to be around.
I'm trying to think of the coaches on the staff right now that were here when you were here. Man, I'd have to get the
it's Coach Dunn, Coach McIndoe. Mm-hmm. That's it on offense, and then on defense, it's a lot of the same guys.
Yeah.
Duffy, Clemens, Hammer. I think those are.
I was going to say that'd be it, but that creates a feeling of confidence,
right.
Security, comfortable feeling when you go to work.
Yes, sir. That's because what's definitely all the same. Equipment. It's all the same people in the equipment room. It's all the same guys in the training room mm-hmm. and upstairs in the ops staff. All those people are the same. So that's what makes this place special. Nobody ever really wants to leave because everybody loves OSU, and so that's what makes this place different than everywhere else that I've seen. That I don't know how many places keep that many assistants and then that many equipment staff members and training staff members and strength staff members and your operation staff. Like it's everybody here is the same than from I guess 5 years ago because they all love Stillwater. They all love OSU. And so when you have that many people putting that much work into the program and they love it like that, it makes it special. It's a little different than everywhere else in that regard, and that's what makes OSU OSU.
Last thing, give us a little feel for the excitement level, anticipation level, whatever word you want to insert there, as we inch our way closer to hopefully a normal spring ball. You got to think coming out of that, coming out of the bowl, coming out of the last 2 years, these guys appear to be maybe chomping at the bit to get back out there again.
Oh, I'm sure. I don't know if I want to, try to maybe speak too much on that, just because I've always been one to try to walk softly and carry a big stick.
Yeah.
Mantra of just don't say too much. Just do your work. And then when you show up on game day, let that speak for itself. So there's a lot of guys returning, and there's a lot of great players and great coaches still here. So there's a lot to be excited about, especially coming off this past season. It was a pretty good season, and I think that there's a lot to build off of. But I don't want to speak too much on it, just because I want to let game day speak for itself.
That's you. It's always don't talk about it, just be about it. And that's,
yes, sir.
And that I think that's one of the many things that made your return here so exciting to our fans, for sure. Hey, we went on and on. We could continue to go on and on. We got more stories to tell, and we'll do that in time. But I appreciate your time here today. And hey, welcome back again. This is. I feel like we have fulfilled the journey on these interviews. Now you don't have to end this interview by saying, my goal is to get back to Oklahoma State. You've reached your goal. You're back here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's a good feeling. It's a great feeling to be back.
Well, I'm sure they feel the same way there at the West End as well. Hey, we'll run into each other here soon. I'll be in touch with you. I appreciate you joining us today. And best of luck as you make your way through at least getting into spring. Thanks.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, buddy. J.W. Walsh, and what a great addition to the staff to have him back.